Hello, and welcome to Brighter Shores. If you've just started playing recently, this video is going to try to help you be more efficient with your time in the early game. I just got done playing over the past few days, and these are things that I have run into that would have helped me when I was first playing. So I'm going to try to stick to just a few things, if I can, that I would have found helpful. But let's get into it. The first thing I wanted to mention is XP rates. So this will just kind of be context for everything else, but if you've come from playing RuneScape, you know most of the time you just have levels from 0 to 99, and they scale at about the rate of, they double in total XP every 7 levels. It takes about this 10% of your total XP currently to get the next level, right? And that's a pretty consistent scaling throughout, all the way up to level 99. It's a little bit different in Brighter Shores. Until you reach level 20, you have a pretty slow progression rate. The first couple levels are like 500 XP, 515 XP, 530 XP as you start getting up. By the time you get to level 20, it's at about 36,000 XP, and that's when you start hitting a little bit of a brick wall, for lack of a better term. But once you get to level 20, you start kicking up to almost 20,000 XP for a single level. It starts off at somewhere closer to 18,000, but then it hits that, and it stays that way for a while, because you get up here. Let's see, I have something at level 33. Even at level 33, it's still about 20,000 XP per level. So it's just a weird way that the scaling works on that. But that's just something to keep in mind when you're trying to figure out, how long it's going to take to get to a certain level in a skill or whatever. And then another thing to note is the activities you can do don't make as big of a difference as they do in RuneScape either. So normally in RuneScape you would see something where, especially well, fishing is a good example. So you start off fishing shrimp, and you get like 5 XP per shrimp or something like that, right? And then it's like as soon as you unlock the next tier at level 5, you want to start fishing something else, because that's going to give you like 10 XP per action. The scaling is not so excessive in Brighter Shores. I don't know what the exact difference is, but it's something like, you're going to be fishing this flounder and get 50 XP, and then you move on to an eel and you're getting like 60, and then you move on to the pufferfish and you're getting like 70. So the thing to keep a note is it's not really as important that you're fishing the highest tier thing as fishing something that is efficient to bank, really. Or in the case of fish, you're normally just going to be selling it. But I'm just going to show you on the map real quick. Pull this up real big for a second. So you'll notice, which he'll get into this more when you're going around discovering things, unlocking the map like this, but you have eel here on Eel Street Bridge, you have pufferfish over here, and you have flounder over here. These eel and these pufferfish are right next to the place that you can sell them, the fish stall, which is generally what you're going to end up doing with fish. So it makes more sense to just fish the higher of these two. So right now I would fish pufferfish, right, because they're higher level. I'm going to get slightly better rates, and then just sell them, as opposed to coming way over here to fish flounder at level 12, which is going to be slightly better, and then running all the way back to sell them. So something to keep a note. Again, you're not going to be getting much higher XP rates, or enough higher XP rates to justify the run there. And then the last thing on that point is just so, like, this is a thing that you will learn as you're doing this, but just so it's not weird when you find this out. But so for instance, this eel bridge here has eel at, if you're only level 2, you'll just see the lesser eel pop up. Once you get to level 8, you'll see the gray eel, and these are like single instance of fish, and they just upgrade based on what level you're at. So when I get up to level 16, they'll show a rocky eel, and those are going to give you more XP and sell for more and everything like that. they're going to be just as difficult to fish, but right, your XP rates are going to increase from fishing at the same spot, just because you've like qualified for the next tier of it. And in that regards, you can also, instead of just catching it, you can catch the lower tier of it if you want. You can, right, and that applies for most things. That applies for combat, for fishing, for wood cutting, for gathering. What is it called? Foraging, gathering. Most things are formatted like that. Okay, so now that's out of the way. My suggestions to try to be a little bit more efficient in the early game are to unlock your knowledge gathering as soon as possible. As soon as you hit level 20 in any skill, you unlock this knowledge bar, which will then just start filling up anytime you start gaining any kind of XP, whether or not the skill is at 20. But so if you rush early game and get 20 combat or 20 cooking, this will unlock and just start filling up passively. And every time it fills up, you can then start unlocking offline skills, right? So offline combat or cooking or gathering, whatever. Or just trading it in for extra XP or money. Which really, I ended up using the money a lot early game. I'm using the XP a lot more now. And basically anytime something gets to level 20, I'm spending it more on unlocking the AFK offline ability stuff as well. But anyways, you get that going by getting something to level 20. So really, whatever you want to rush for that, it is a good idea to do that. Cooking is a good option, although the AFK training on cooking is not ideal. So that's not going to help you, but you can then unlock that and start getting more money every time that bar fills up, at the very least. But let me show you really quick. Cooking is a lot simpler than I thought it was. When I first started doing this, I didn't realize the very basic loop. You come over to this guy here, which his name is is blocked by this other guy. What is it, Kevin? I was gonna say when I trade him here, I guess. Kevin's ingredients. So when you start off, you're gonna have bread that you can buy and bacon, and you can make bacon sandwiches, and that's about it. And then after a while, you can make my favorite thing to make on here, which is very easy, is mixed vegetables, because you just need one ingredient. You buy it, you run over into the kitchen, you prepare it, and you sell it to the chef, and that's the entire loop for cooking. Let me just show you the cooking up these vegetables. So anything too, if you're curious on how to put these things together, every kind of station anywhere has like a book that'll tell you how to work the recipes for cooking. Let's see, so for right now I have the vegetable stew. It'll tell you, right, you bring basic mixed vegetables, that's all you have. You chop them at the chopping table and then stew them in a boiling pot. And that's it. So we're gonna take it over to the chopping table here. We're gonna chop them up. Cooking gives very nice AFK times, like especially for something like mixed vegetables. You got 24 inventory spaces you can fill up, and then come and it'll just sit here and chop up all 24 of them, and then you bring them out over to the pot, and then it cooks all 24 of them. So it's good AFK time, like nice AFK time. It takes like a minute, to do all 24 of them. You get decent money. Specifically, if you're doing vegetable stew, I think you're making about 5 silver per inventory you do. And the XP rates are not bad. So this is a nice chill skill to train early. But you just come over here, sell all, boom. So yeah, cooking one, again, very easy. If you want to level it up to 20 fast, that'll also get you a nice bit of starting cash, because you're going to be making a bit of money off of that. But just a quick note, if you're trying to cook other things, specifically if you're cooking things where it's like, you can cook some eel jelly or some kind of crap. What is it? Jellied eels. These are most of these things where you could harvest them yourself if you want are gonna lose you money if you go buy them, because like those jellied eels you can go buy from the fish stall if you want. Over down at that fish stall, there's potatoes that you can pick if you're foraging, but you can also buy the potatoes here. They're just very expensive. If you're gonna make sausage and mash, you can buy the potatoes. Again, those things are not ideal. Honestly, the mixed vegetables are incredible because again, you can do 4 of them at a time. But I don't know, between those and eggs are basically the same way, where you just bring the eggs and then the eggs, all you do is fry them up, as opposed to having to chop them up as well. But anyways, that's enough for cooking. The other skills that are nice to be able to AFK, so if you're going to train something to 20, are either combat, which you're going to have combat skills in each zone, or gathering skills, basically. So you have, in Hopeport, you have fishing and you have foraging, and then you'll get gathering and woodcutting and mining in the future and that kind of stuff. Anything where you're gathering is nice to do for AFK and will make you money. For instance, this is what I just did overnight for mining. And you get these things that you can sell by themselves, or then you can use these to AFK other skills. But the thing is, for example, like this will, let's do the example from the first act. If you're fishing, you fish, right, level 20. By the way, this little moon icon here is what indicates it's an offline skill. Anything you see like that, it also requires this much knowledge in that skill to be able to do it. But regardless, like you go fishing overnight and you catch a bunch of dab, that just makes you money and XP. If you're gonna go do the AFK offline skill as cooking, you would have to buy that dab and then cook it up, and you lose money on that, and it's not ideal. So now if you're gonna fish it, you could fish it one night and then go cook it another night, and that works. Because that'll then, the margins between buying and selling things are a lot. So it's ideal if you can, fish and cook. Well, that's not a great example because generally you're not fishing and cooking. You might, unless you're doing the AFK stuff. But for example, if you're gonna woodcut and then carpenter, it makes a lot more sense to do it all together. You're just gonna chop up the wood and then cut it up into poles or staves and then sell it, as opposed to just chopping logs and selling them, or buying the logs and just using carpentry. It makes more sense to combine them generally. Anyways, AFK skills, gathering ones and combat ones are best for doing offline, so you don't lose a bunch of money. Okay, and then the main other thing I want to cover is you will also notice later in the game, you get to where you're going to be out harvesting stuff, right? And then you have to run all the way back. It's annoying for that fish. You can run all the way to that fish stall, right? Or for anything, you got stuff way over here where you're going to go harvest cod or all this other stuff you can forage, and then you're going to have to run all the way back and then run all the way back out. There's a way to unlock these little storage rifts, which you'll see on the map at different places. Storage rift, there's a bunch in the forest. Storage rift, right? You can unlock these, which basically just act as deposit boxes. So you can run up to them, deposit everything, which helps, if then you want to go woodcut oak logs at level 22, because that's the most efficient thing to do at that time, right? If you wanted to chop oak logs, you could run all the way over here and then run them all the way down here, all the way down here, all the way down here to where you can store them, or you can just chop the logs and then deposit them right here with that storage rift. It comes in, it's very handy. The way you unlock these is through a quest, Spider's Nest. It's in the Hope Forest. And the main requirement for this is 32 crafting. Carpentry, yeah. So this is a bit of a grind to start right off the bat, but it is very helpful to have access to those stone rifts. It becomes even more helpful once you get into the third act, for sure. I'm not sure about the fourth one yet. But you can either, if you want to be absolutely efficient, it's best to just cut up the logs and then craft them. Right? It's gonna make you a ton of money. It's gonna be a bit slower, but it does work. Let me just kind of show you what I'm talking about with that. So what I ended up doing for some of the grind is just buying logs, because I'm lazy. But like if you really want to be efficient with your time, you just chop the trees and then grind them up and then sell them. And I'll show you. So normally, before you have access to these storage rifts, you can also just kind of stick to trees that are in the area. So you have the workshop right here that you can either store the lumber directly or then cut it up into, you know, lot poles and staves or whatever. So there's 3 trees that are pretty nearby. You have the ash logs that you get access to at level 1. There's a whole bunch of them right here, to which then you can run right down to this building and start cutting them up. Right in here. Right, so those unlock at level 0 and they upgrade at level 18. So like you can, it's very helpful. The other 2 trees you have, which these are pretty spaced out, which is kind of nice. You have these at 0 and then 18. You go over here just a little bit. You have juniper trees over here that are pretty decent to do at level 10. And there's a few of them down the line here that you can do without it being too inefficient. And just over here you have oak trees. Or pine, is it pine trees? Pine trees, there you go. At level 4, and those will upgrade eventually too. But you can just run here and then run over and store them. And then if you're cutting them up, realistically, I think it's most efficient to just sell them, but I'm going to point a few things out here where things are at. Timber bank is where you would go to store any planks or staves or poles or whatever. After you process the wood, it gets stored in that timber bank. If you just have the raw logs, you bring them into this building here, and there's storage, lumber and storage in the corner, right? But realistically, the best thing to do, I think, is just, whether you're buying the logs or you're cutting them up, you bring them and you store them in here, and then when you're ready, you can do some pretty AFK training in that you just bring it on here and you cut up your 12 in your inventory, because it splits them into 2, and then you use them on the lathe to polish them up, and then run right here and just sell them at that point. And that's also a good way to divide it up. You know, if you have some time where you can pay more attention than others, you can spend that time chopping down trees or buying them and bringing them over here. And then when you can't pay as much attention, you just you know, you just pull your wood out of here and you process it and sell it, and it's all happens right here. Yeah, and then let's see. There was one last thing I was going to cover. The last thing I was going to cover is as you're progressing through the main quests, if you're trying to rush through doing the main story, right, which is going to unlock the new areas for you, you do get a lot of combat XP from doing that. So most of these areas I finished when I was at like level 13 or 14 or something like that. And then you finish the main quest and it gives you a whole bunch of XP to get you up closer to 20. Which is, it's nice to not have to grind all the way up to that, I guess. I don't know. I don't know how efficient that actually is, but my point is a lot of the stuff you need to finish up can be finished with lower combat levels, as long as you just get some okay gear, which I'll just kind of show you from what I have on here. The main thing you want to look for is the rarity. So you have common, you have uncommon, which is 2 stars here, rare, which is 3 stars, and you can also get epic, which is 4 stars. That's, I think I've gotten 1 epic thing so far. But the point is, once you have a couple of decent weapons and gear, it's pretty easy to progress through. As long as you just get some of these 20% health recovery potions, which you can buy these or make with the alchemy skill. This will help you get through most of the combat, and you don't have to, so you don't need to grind super high before you finish the quests out. Anyways, yeah, that's about it. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any other comments or tips that you ran into that help you progress that I didn't cover here. But otherwise, I'll see you next time.